The moment you start pleasing the avoidant, you've already confessed your slavery, slavery to their silence, slavery to their rare attention, slavery to the hope that maybe one day they will finally see your worth. But every act of pleasing is a hidden confession that deep down you don't believe you are enough. And the truth is, the more you try to please, the more power you hand over to the one who doesn't even value what you're offering. Nietzsche asks, who are you pleasing? The one who runs from love, the one who fears intimacy, the one whose heart is locked in chains of avoidance. Why are you bowing to someone who is terrified of closeness? Why are you offering devotion to a soul that doesn't even know its own hunger? This is not love, this is worship at the wrong altar, and worshipping the avoidant will only destroy you. They call you too much, because you gave them your all, because you stayed when they disappeared, because you sacrificed your peace for their comfort. No, you are not too much. They are too little, too broken to hold the fire you carry inside. They reject, not because you lack, but because your depth exposes their emptiness. And here is the cruel truth. The avoidant never regrets being pleased immediately. Regret doesn't come when you are bending, apologizing, overgiving. Regret comes later, in silence, when they see you rise without them, when they realize that the one who once lived to please now walks away untouchable. Your strength was never in pleasing. Your power begins the day you stop. Because when you stop offering your worth at their feet, they finally begin to feel their loss. Their silence today will one day become their loudest scream of regret. To understand this on a deeper level, let's now discuss a few important key points. These points are not just lessons, they are tools to transform your life. Stop overgiving. The tragedy of the pleaser is simple. You keep pouring your heart into a cup that was never meant to hold it. You give and give, until you are left empty, yet they still look at you as if you've done nothing. The avoidant thrives on this imbalance. The more you overgive, the more they undervalue. This is the twisted law of human desire. What comes too easily is always taken for granted. Every extra text you send, every desperate effort you make, every time you bend beyond your limits, you are silently teaching them that your love has no price. And Nietzsche reminds us, what is free is forgotten, what is abundant is abused. By overgiving, you are not proving your worth, you are erasing it. You are telling the avoidant, I don't need your effort, I will carry the whole weight of this relationship on my back. And once you take on that role, they will gladly let you. But ask yourself, why do you keep overgiving? Is it truly love, or is it fear? Fear of abandonment, fear of silence, fear that if you stop, they will disappear. And here lies the cruel irony. The more you overgive to keep them close, the faster they slip away. Because the avoidant is allergic to intensity, they crave distance, they run from depth, and your overflowing love becomes the very thing that suffocates them. Stop, let your silence speak louder than your desperation. Real strength is not in how much you can give, but in how much you can withhold, until it is deserved. Your no becomes a boundary, your refusal to overgive becomes your crown. When you stop pouring into the void, you force the avoidant to face their own emptiness, and nothing terrifies them more than seeing that you will no longer bleed just to keep them comfortable. Overgiving is not generosity, it is self-erasure, and the one who erases himself for love will always be erased from love. The day you stop giving more than you receive, you break the spell, you shift the balance, you reclaim your worth, and in that moment, the avoidant begins to taste the bitter seed of regret, because they finally realize the fountain they thought would never run dry has turned to stone. Set boundaries. Boundaries are not walls, they are mirrors. They reflect back to others how much you value yourself. The problem with the pleaser is that they mistake tolerance for love. They think that if they keep enduring, sacrificing, adjusting, and saying it's okay, again and again, the avoidant will finally wake up and respect them. But here is the brutal truth. Every time you let disrespect slide, every time you accept crumbs in the name of love, you are silently teaching them that your soul can be bargained for cheap. Nietzsche reminds us, he who cannot command himself must obey. Boundaries are the way you command yourself. When you say no to neglect, you are saying yes to dignity. When you refuse to be treated as an option, you are declaring that you are the prize. The avoidant cannot handle this, because their power lives in your weakness. The more you bend, the more they rise. The moment you stand tall, their illusion collapses. But most people are terrified of boundaries because they fear rejection. They whisper to themselves, if I draw a line, they will leave me. Yet they fail to see that someone who leaves because you demanded respect was never with you to begin with. What you are holding onto is not love, but fear disguised as loyalty, and fear will always keep you caged. The day you set boundaries, you will face anger, accusations, manipulation. They will call you selfish. They will say you have changed, but understand this, your boundaries threaten the very control they had over you. They hate your no, because it exposes their dependency on your obedience. And this is where your power is born, not in pleasing, not in sacrificing, but in refusing to be used. Your boundaries are not just lines on the ground, they are sacred gates, protecting your time, your body, your energy, your spirit. Without them you are an open wound, bleeding for anyone who wants to take. With them you become untouchable. So stop being afraid of your no. A no spoken with calm clarity is more powerful than 1,000 desperate yeses. The moment you learn to protect your edges, you transform from the pleaser into the sovereign. And when the avoidant finally realizes they can no longer walk over you, their regret will burn like fire, because they lost the one who finally remembered their worth. Work on self-worth. The greatest tragedy of the pleaser is not that the avoidant ignores them, it is that they ignore themselves. When your entire worth hangs on whether they text back, whether they call, whether they choose you, you have already surrendered your crown. You have handed over the key of your identity to someone who doesn't even know how to open their own door. And Nietzsche reminds us, he who looks for his value in another dies every day that the other turns away. Self-worth is not built in their eyes, it is built in your bones. Yet the pleaser keeps asking, am I enough? Am I lovable? Am I worth staying for? These questions are not love, they are chains. They come from wounds you never healed, voices from your past that told you your value was conditional. The avoidant becomes a mirror reflecting that old lie, that you are never enough. But the truth is, their distance is not your proof. Their avoidance is not your measurement. It is their brokenness, not your worth. To work on self-worth is to stop begging for evidence. It is to wake up and declare, my value is not up for debate. My existence is already proof. It means feeding your soul before you feed their ego. It means building a life so full, so rich, that their presence becomes a bonus, not your lifeline. The one who knows their worth does not chase, they attract. They do not collapse when rejected. They rise, because their foundation is within, not without. But make no mistake, this path is painful. To reclaim your worth, you must face the shadows. You must confront the part of you that was trained to shrink, to settle, to beg. Nietzsche says, only he who destroys himself discovers who he truly is. Destroy the version of you that was addicted to their scraps. Kill the identity that believed silence was your punishment. Rebuild yourself on truth, not approval. And when you do, something shifts. The avoidant sees it. They sense your detachment, your independence, your glow. Suddenly the one who once begged has become untouchable, and that is when regret creeps in, because nothing torments the avoidant more than realizing you never needed them to begin with. Detach emotionally. Attachment is the silent chain that keeps the pleaser enslaved. Every unread message, every delayed reply, every cold glance, it becomes a storm inside your chest. You measure your peace by their mood, your joy by their attention, your worth by their presence, and that is why they control you without even trying. Nietzsche says he who cannot master his own emotions will forever be mastered by others. As long as every action of the avoidant decides your state of mind, you are not in love, you are in captivity. Detachment is not the absence of care, it is the presence of power. It is the art of watching their silence without shaking. It is the discipline of not reacting to every little withdrawal. The avoidant feeds on your reactions, your panic, your chasing, your constant attempts to fix what they keep breaking. Every time you run after them, you confirm their control. But when you detach, when you stop bleeding at every cut, the game collapses. They no longer hold the strings. This doesn't mean becoming cold or heartless. It means reclaiming your center. It means learning to breathe even when they vanish. It means teaching your heart that their distance is not your death. Detachment is choosing to sit with your own loneliness instead of begging them to fill it. It is choosing silence over desperate messages, choosing dignity over impulsive chasing. and in that silence, you discover something radical. You do not need them to survive. The avoidant fears this most. They are used to you orbiting around them, reacting to their every move. When you no longer react, when your world no longer collapses at their absence, they are forced to face their own emptiness. Suddenly, the control they enjoyed has turned into insecurity. Your calm becomes their chaos. Your silence becomes their mirror. Nietzsche reminds us, the strongest man is he who can stand alone, unmoved. Emotional detachment does not kill love, it purifies it. It strips away the begging, the slavery, the illusion. It transforms you from a desperate seeker into a sovereign being. And when the avoidant realizes that their power over your emotions has died, regret begins to haunt them, because they lost the one who finally learned to be free. The journey of the pleaser is always the same. You give, they take. You chase, they run. You beg, they vanish. And in this endless cycle, you forget who you are. But the truth is simple. The avoidant was never your mirror. They were only your lesson. They came to show you that love without self-respect is slavery, and attention bought with sacrifice is poison. You tried overgiving, and it destroyed your peace. You lived without boundaries, and it erased your dignity. You lost your self-worth, and it made you desperate. You stayed emotionally attached, and it made you weak. But the moment you redirected your energy, the moment you reclaimed your crown, something shifted. The chains broke. Nietzsche says, "He who has a why can bear almost any how." Your why is no longer them, it is you. Your growth, your freedom, your truth. The day you stop pleasing the avoidant is the day you stop bleeding for illusions. You stop trying to prove, you stop trying to beg, and you finally start to live. And here lies the silent revenge, regret. They will regret not because you screamed, not because you tried to make them, but because your silence became louder than their absence. They will see you rise, they will see you glow, and they will realize, the one who once waited for them now walks beyond them, untouchable. Remember this, you don't need to make them regret, you only need to become who you truly are. Their regret is not your goal, it is their destiny. Stop pleasing the avoidant, live your worth, and let their regret echo in silence, until it follows them to the grave.